Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Glad to be here with you today. Want to do a follow-up show on the best fixes for leaky gut, aka increased intestinal permeability, as well as LPSs. So whether you tuned into last week's show or not, that's okay. I want to share with you the best way basically to heal and seal the gut wall and keep it that way for life. So this is something we have a lot of experience with in our practice. I simply want to share with you step by step the 3 different phases of this protocol. You can do with it as you see fit. If you're a practitioner, you'll be able to add this to your practice as well. So last week's show is episode 3077. It was the #1 health issue that no one is talking about, and it's an extremely important one. So endotoxemia, caused by or part of it's with LPSs, lipopolysaccharides, is the #1 thing that no one is talking about right now. If you don't know what that is, please do tune into the show. That's stephencabral.com/3077. Today's show, though, with all of the links, all the important information, will be at stephencabral.com/3085 if you want to have a look for all those takeaways. All right. So first things first, as I said, there is a 3-step plan for healing up the gut wall. Why would you want to do that in the first place? Well, as we talked about last week, the more bacteria, the more yeast, the more proteins that are spilling into your bloodstream, the greater reaction most likely the immune system will have. And the greater reaction the immune system has to all of these bacteria and different pathogens coming out, the higher amount of inflammation in your body. Because even though the immune system is a good thing, and your white blood cells or immunoglobulins going after these pathogens, what happens is because of the attack of your good guys, right, your white blood cells going after the bad guys, the pathogens, that battle creates inflammation. And we talked about it last week, increasing toll-like receptors, increasing cytokines. It can be histamine issues, all sorts of issues in the body that can ultimately lead to all of the major causes of death, which are cardiovascular, blood pressure, diabetes, Alzheimer's, cancer, and it also leads to, unfortunately, decades of autoimmune issues. So now that we know having a leaky gut, or basically increased intestinal permeability, so when you eat, what happens is, if you're looking at my buddy Walter over here, these intestines right here, about 26 feet of intestinal tract, it becomes more permeable. And when it becomes more permeable, more can leak out. The immune system then becomes more reactive. We have more inflammation, then more autoimmune and more dis-ease of the body. So our job is to seal this up so when you eat food, only the good amino acids from proteins, the fatty acids from healthy fats, and the glucose particles from carbohydrates move into the bloodstream, and the vitamins and minerals that are created there as well, of course, and not all of the bad, all of the pathogens. All right, so I'm going to share with you exactly how we do that. 3 different phases. The first is you're either going to take an assessment, or which is a quiz, right? You can do that with your integrative health practitioner, or you can do that at stephencabral.com/assessments. It's free. They're all free, okay? Now, a better way, though, is to not guess and what we call test, right? All of this can be done at home without your doctor's permission. Again, you can ask your doctor if you want. That's okay. If you love your conventional medicine doctor, phenomenal, then good for you. Like, that's fantastic. I think that's great. But if your doctor is always questioning, why do you want to run this lab? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to look at your vitamin D levels? Then you can run it on your own in the privacy of your own home. Don't have to get your blood drawn, no needles, and it's not shared with your insurance, not shared with your PCP unless you choose to have that, just shared between you, your practitioner, and the lab that's running the lab. That's it. So here's what the 3 labs that you want to run for gut-based issues. The first is called the Candida Metabolic and Vitamins Test. I will link all of these up at 3085. I can't link up protocols, but I can link up labs. FDA says that's okay, at least for now. Supplements, protocols, not so much. That's okay. So I'm going to link up the foods, and I will link up all the assessments, and I'll link up the labs here today. All right, so you don't have to memorize any of these. Candida Metabolic Vitamins Test, simple urine test, can be done ages 3 years and up, and it looks at overgrowth of yeast, potential mold, and bacteria. So it's a great one to run. Plus, it gives you all your vitamin levels. All right, the second one is a bacteria and parasite stool test. It's a 3-day stool test that looks for parasites, bacterial imbalances in the gut, like a SIBO, but not diagnostic, yeast overgrowth, as well as H. pylori. All right, really important one to look at. The third one is IgG food sensitivity test. And I've lots of podcasts on the validity of IgG food sensitivity tests, tons of them at stephencabral.com/podcasts. And that'll look at 190 healthy foods, and it will tell you just the couple that you might be sensitive to. All right, so you can run all of those 3 labs. You can run none of those labs. If you bundle them together, it's a better price. If you run them a la carte, it's a little bit more expensive. All of them will come with, though, a reading of your results. You can find these at stephencabral.com/labs, but again, I'll link everything up at 3085. Okay, so here's what we want to do. We run the labs. You can run all of them within 3 days maximum. Candida test, Candida metabolic vitamins test, 1 day, morning urination. The food sensitivity, simple finger prick, blood spot, again, ages 3 years old and up, you can do that. Stool test, you're collecting a little bit of stool, 3 days in a row, mailing it to the lab. So maximum takes 3 days, right? Okay, so 1 day for the others, 3 days for the stool. Run them all, run none, you can just do the assessments, whatever works best for you. You'll get those results back typically in about 3 weeks' time, all right? So 3 weeks' time, you'll then have a personalized plan. Why does that matter? Well, if you don't have parasites, you don't need to do a parasite protocol. If you don't have yeast or bacterial overgrowth, don't need to do a yeast or bacterial overgrowth protocol. If you have H. pylori, then you would do an H. pylori. But if you don't have H. pylori, don't need to do the H. pylori protocol. So it's basically those 4, right? And if you don't need to eliminate a lot of foods, you don't eliminate a lot of foods. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this will personalize it more for you. This is the future of true health and health caring, right? This is it. And it's available now. That's the nice thing. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, you can run these labs or do the assessments. And then next up, you will then begin the protocols. If there is a parasite-based issue, of course, you can ask your medical doctor, what should I do? No problem at all. No issues with that. What we do in our practice, just our choice, not giving medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnostics, or medical advice, but we do something called the Parasupport Protocol. Been doing it for over a decade. And it contains all of the, again, clinically proven herbs, biofilm disruptors, and the low histamine sensitive binders to get these things out of the body. So that's 8 weeks. So that's what we do. It's called a Parasupport Protocol. If there's a bacterial overgrowth issue or imbalance, if there's a yeast issue, we do the CBO protocol. The CBO protocol, we've used, not only do we use it, thousands of practitioners around the world use it. We've used it maybe 100,000 times. Like, these things are well tested. And it is unbelievable what it does for rebalancing your gut. So you have bloating, gas, all sorts of issues. It's amazing what it does. Okay, that's a CBO protocol. And then if there's H. pylori is an add-on. Usually you're going to have other issues if you have H. pylori. Not always, but typically that's what we see in our practice over 90% of the time. You'll use something called mastic gum, healthy belly. That's it. So that's an add-on to those protocols. If you have all 4, what do you do first? First, the Parasupport Protocol with the mastic gum. And then after that comes the CBO protocol. Okay, no parasites, no H. pylori, which a lot of people don't have those, right to the CBO protocol. All right, and you can add the citracidal drops if needed, but your practitioner will give you that recommendation. I'm not going to give you that recommendation right now. Remember, these labs come with a consultation. Okay, a consultation, not only that, and a plan. That's probably the most important thing, right? Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to go into that protocol, the Parasupport Protocol, 8 weeks, H. pylori done at the same time, 8 weeks. Very simple, very straightforward. 3 different products, 3 different uses. You're good to go. CBO protocol, 12 weeks. Okay, 12 weeks, and that is rebalancing your gut strategically each month. So gentler first month, stronger, strongest. By the time you get to the last month, you've already basically rebalanced the gut. You're just finishing touches, cleaning things up. Includes a biofilm disruptor, an antimicrobial each month, and then a specific strain of probiotic or a non-pathogenic yeast for the first 4 weeks. I've detailed the entire CBO protocol before. I'll link it up at stephencabral.com/3085. And you can also just look at it yourself at stephencabral.com/CBO, and you'll be able to actually see the entire protocol. We open source it, so we just let people say, hey, this is exactly what works. This is what to do. All right. So now what do we do for diet during that time? Well, the CBO protocol comes in the Parasupport. They all come with their own nutrition plans. The CBO protocol, really rebalancing gut-based issues, comes with a sensitive gut guide. What we're doing is we're eliminating the most inflammatory gut-based foods for the first 21 days, as well as the ones that are prebiotics that feed bacteria and yeast. Why? Because you already have an overgrowth. Our job is to knock it down. You don't need to do the carnivore. You don't need to do keto or any of that. We have a specific guide that gives you 24 different fruits to choose from, 3 dozen different veggies, as well as starches. We eliminate the grains for the first 3 weeks, then we start to just gently add those back for people that are able to tolerate them. So very straightforward, non-restrictive. We eliminate the foods, of course, that you're sensitive to. Then we give you the sensitive gut guide as well. All right. So that's very straightforward. After 3 weeks, you begin to introduce 1 new food per week or 1 every 3 days if you want to introduce them faster. And you keep a food journal. Did I react positively, meaning like no issue, good energy? Did I react neutral, not feeling worse? Or did I react negatively? Headaches, bloating, migraines, skin rash, etc. over the next 1, 2, or 3 days. All right. So we teach you how to use a rotation diet to be able to figure all of that out. So not complicated, keep things simple, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You don't even have to fast for, just eat 1 meal a day. We don't make people do that. Haven't needed to. You're going to do a 12-hour to typically 14-hour maximum intermittent fast, and then you're going to have 3 meals per day. So very straightforward. Okay. So now let's go over to what some of those, I actually gave you like the berries and the different things that you're able to eat, but it's 2 dozen different fruit, over 3 dozen different veggies. We start to add back in some of those non-gluten based grains. Quinoa works fine for some people. Oats, gluten-free oats, works fine for some people. Rice can work fine for many people. So we start to just add those in. Again, you never need to use them if you don't want, but we like to give people options. And we also try, do any of the plant-based proteins work for you? Don't need to use them, but do hemp hearts, do kidney beans, do chickpeas. We don't even use kidney beans. I don't know why I said that. Cannellini beans. Do any of these work for you? Great, because that just gives you like 1 more protein option with good fiber, and it starts to add as a prebiotic. So you can get, good benefits for blood pressure, cardiovascular, etc. All right, next up is healthy fats. What could we do? Okay, well, we're going to add healthy fats back in that are not going to increase LPS, because remember, part of this issue was caused by the foods that cause LPS, lipopolysaccharides. Please tune back in for last week's show. So extremely important. I can't go through it today because it will cause too long of a show, and I like to make these bite-sized shows so you can tune in daily, get a little bit more info. Okay, so here are the healthy fats though. Avocados, olive oil, those are your number 1 and 2. Then for healthy fat proteins, fish. So ideally, low mercury, low omega-6 farmed-based fish. We don't want that, right? So what we want is high omega-3, anti-inflammatory, low mercury fish. So salmon, mackerel, sardines, trout, anchovies, all of those great ones. Some cod, it's going to be totally fine. Some haddock, totally fine. But a little bit more of the fatty fish if we can get it. All right? Then people are always asking, what about fermented foods? Not quite yet. Not yet. Typically adding those in maybe with some people around week 6, week 8, because we're not ready yet to really build back a lot of that bacteria. Our job is to eliminate first and then gently start to add back. So really not before week 8. After week 8, what can we do to help with the inflammatory gut-based issues, etc.? Well, I'm going to go into that in phase 3 where we heal and seal after we've eliminated. But with some of those positive fermented foods with live good bacteria could be a sauerkraut. One of my favorites that I get up in Maine is sauerkraut with shredded carrots with a little bit of sea veggies, which almost you never get, right? Some seaweed, some kelp in there. Love that one. And honestly, it's 1 teaspoon when you're first starting out. People put an enormous bowl of it. Yeah, just because something is good doesn't mean a whole lot is a whole lot better. It's not true at all, right? So the goal is you start with a teaspoon. And if a teaspoon seems to be working fine, 1 meal maximum per day, then you can start to work up to, not yet, but over weeks, you can work up to a tablespoon. Better to go slow and do it right and only have to do it once than deal with this for life. That's why we like just a 12-week protocol. We just build things back. All right. Sauerkraut can be a great one. Yogurt can be okay for some. Dairy is a big sensitivity. Cow's milk, dairy is like the #1 IgG sensitivity. So if we're going to do dairy, we're typically food sensitivity testing first, and then we're using sheep and goat. So sheep and goat-based yogurt, you can absolutely find those, and those are far less reactive. So we like that. For people that like spicier food, kimchi can be a nice one. So that's that. Okay. We don't do as much kefir. People always ask about kefir or lassi, which can be fine. Like those can be totally fine. Just have to make sure that no sugar is added, like no flavor is added to those because it really increases the sugar, which then can increase the prebiotic-based effect, which is not what we want right away. All right. Pretty much all proteins are good to go, except the ones that increase LPSs. We don't want to have those. And of course, none of those fried-based foods. Okay. Spices that can be great. I'll get to supplements in just a moment. That'll be great in our third phase. Ginger, turmeric are always fantastic for the gut. They really are. Unless, of course, you have a sensitivity. Then we throw that right out the window. Garlic is an interesting one. Garlic and onions, but we don't use those until at least week 6 to 8 of the sensitive gut guide of the CBO protocol. And that's because they're prebiotics as well. So we don't do those right away, especially onions. Those are the most potent one, right? So it can be great, but not yet. So we like to wait 6 to 8 weeks. And then month 3, slowly start to add them back in. Cinnamon, an amazing one. Cinnamon can be great. If you're worried about histamine levels, I totally get it. You maybe don't add that right away. So understand that. And then people are always asking about bone broth. Yes, bone broth can be great. Not the powder, which is not fresh, so it can increase histamine levels. And just regular bone broth, by the way, has histamines as well. So you may or may not do well with it. Just want you to know that, like if the skins and the bones and things like that, especially the skin, which can have some good fats, things like that, just doesn't work for everybody. That's the truth, right? I like to stand biased. Just doesn't work for everybody. We don't use a lot of it in our programs at all because most of the people we're working with often have hives, allergies, itchy eyes, headaches, migraines, skin rashes. So we're very careful about adding in any supplements or foods that increase histamines. But bone broth can, yes, help with the gut. No doubt about it. All right. So let's move on now to phase 3. Phase 3 is going to be overall lifestyle. And now that we've eliminated the bad, bacteria, yeast, parasites, or H. pylori, we're going to really work on sealing up the gut wall. Okay. So we use something called the CBO finisher. CBO protocol to remove or parasupport protocol for parasites. CBO finisher, which is only 2 products. Okay. It is the healthy gut support, which is the zinc and zinc carnosine. It is the L-glutamine. It's the N-acetylglucosamine, aloe vera, and marshmallow. All of those help with the inflammation, and they're clinically proven to seal up the gut wall. Clinically proven. So we know that works. Great. And then we're using a specific probiotic to seal up and help with overall good gut bacterial balance. All right. So supplements, pretty simple. That's what we're doing, right? In addition, we usually use the daily foundational protocol. No doubt about that. But this is in addition to that, okay? Omega-3s are great. Yes, I totally get it. But the CBO finisher is very specific. Now, food base, all of the foods are the same, except we're now starting to add back in prebiotic-based foods. And those are pretty much all of your fruits and veggies now. So you get to enjoy a much wider array. Now, still test them out once every 3 days, a new food. How do they work with you? Because even if it's a healthy food, it could still cause bloating. We're starting to add back in now, might only be a 1/4 cup, but some of those beans and legumes can be a great prebiotic, good for the gut flora. Things like lentils can be absolutely fantastic for the gut. Again, if you don't believe this, please just simple Google search. Simple Google search, lentils or dal and good gut flora, however you want to search it, you will see. I'm happy to always leave you the links. This is episode 3085. I have lots of podcasts on all of the research on all these different things. Today, I just want to make it very, straightforward. Okay. We also, though, at the same time, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, have to still keep eliminating the high LPS based foods. All right. We want to get adequate sleep, still reducing stress, which can cause gut permeability. Those are really important. So not overdoing exercise, but we're going to exercise. Right? Get in our steps, get in our cardio, get in our strength training. We're going to get good sleep. We're going to supplement with the CBO finisher. It's going to have a probiotic and the zinc carnosine, the L-glutamine, etc. And then if you want to start to add in advanced collagen support, that can be fantastic as well. That would be an add-on. If you want to start to use omega-3s, I would continue that the whole program. The daily omega-3 support at a 2-to-1 or greater ratio of EPA to DHA, extremely important. Using a daily activated multi or the daily nutritional support without a doubt, and then good quality vitamin D3. There's a lot more that you could add, but that's your bare minimum, right there. And 7 to 9 servings of fruits and veggies every day. In addition to that, I wanted to say, keep your hydration up. So about half your body weight in ounces of fluid per day. Herbal teas, your ginger tea, your smoothies, all of those can count as water, so no problem there. It just, you don't count your black teas or your caffeinated beverages. That's all. Be careful on taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs like Advil or ibuprofens, which can damage the gut lining. Be careful of other medications that can cause the same. And last couple tips I have for you would be limit as much as possible, and I know this is not going to be the most favorable, alcohol. Alcohol, especially for susceptible individuals that just don't tolerate it as well, will cause a lot of gut-based inflammation and increased intestinal permeability. For most people, I say no more than 2 drinks 1 time per week. And I know that that may seem like no fun and all that. I totally get it. But based on the latest research, there is no healthy amount of alcohol, and greater than 3 drinks for men and greater than 2 drinks for women per week increased chances of cancer. So I just wanted to share that with you. You, of course, as an adult, will choose what you decide is best for you. I just want to be able to share with you exactly how to heal and seal that gut wall. Keep it healthy for life. Obviously, we can talk, and I have lots of podcasts on what happens if you have to use antibiotics in the future. We talk about that, right? So I can link up that show for you here today. But this is the straightforward plan. 3 phases. First, identify. Second, protocol to eliminate. Third, heal and seal. Please let me know if there's any questions. Hopefully this was concise enough. I'm going to link up everything at stephencabral.com/3085. The only thing I can't link up are all the different protocols we use, which you can find at stephencabral.com/shop. That just takes you over to my virtual functional medicine practice, integrative health practice, which is called Equalife. That's it. Hopefully you have everything you need. Of course, comment below if we can help with anything else, and share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.